Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this Study Abroad introduction video. My name is Lisa Johnson, and I'm the Assistant Dean for International Study. My primary role is to support students who are interested in studying abroad. I work together with the Dean for International Study, Rebecca Hovey, to make sure that students have the information they need to make informed decisions about studying abroad. In addition to advising students, we also do a lot of work assessing our host institutions and program providers abroad to make sure they're meeting Smith's expectations regarding safety and security, student support, and the academic experience. The Office for International Study is part of the Lewis Global Studies Center, and when we're all able to return to campus, I invite all students to visit the LGSC, which is located on the first floor of Wright Hall. Before I get into the details of the study abroad process, I want to spend a brief moment talking about some keys to success when it comes to studying abroad. I would argue that the two most important keys are planning and research. It's important for each student to define for themselves their study abroad goals and the type of study abroad experience they're interested in pursuing. A second important key is to talk to people. Study abroad has been a long tradition at Smith, starting over 90 years ago when Smith was one of the first schools to offer study abroad by opening the Smith in Paris program. This means that there are a lot of people to talk to about studying abroad in order to hear different perspectives and experiences. So please do not hesitate to reach out to return study abroad students, faculty members, and of course, Rebecca and myself. Now, let's talk about some specific details about studying abroad. On this slide, you can see the list of students who are eligible to study abroad. It's pretty much anyone. It's really up to each student to determine when they study abroad. Most students study abroad during their junior year. However, there is nothing stopping sophomores or seniors from studying abroad as well. The one caveat is for ADAs and transfer students as to where and when they can study abroad will depend on the number of transfer credits they apply to their Smith degree and how many semesters they will be spending at Smith. ADAs and transfer students should reach out to their class dean and/or me directly with any questions. Students must also keep in mind that there are eligibility requirements for being approved to study abroad. Be sure to visit the Eligibility Requirements section of the Study Abroad website and familiarize yourself with what is expected in order to be approved to study abroad. As I mentioned, Smith has a long tradition of sending students abroad, and I'm happy to say that students are able to study abroad in pretty much any country in the world. Smith runs its own programs in Europe. Smith also works with peer schools to run programs in China, Japan, and Spain. But that's not all. There's a list of approved programs with over 100 programs and destinations to choose from. Students can find a link to the approved list on the Study Abroad website. As academic fields here in the U.S. have evolved and changed over time, so have these same fields abroad. It's exciting to think that students can pretty much study anything abroad, and even in countries where perhaps they are farther along in a particular area than the U.S. The other thing to keep in mind is that the courses you take abroad do not need to be related to your major. Studying abroad is an excellent way to do some outside the major exploration. One of my favorite examples of this is I worked with a student a couple of years ago who was majoring in Latin American studies, and they studied abroad in China for the year because they could. There will be ample time throughout the fall semester to gather more information about the study abroad options available. The Lewis Global Studies Center will be offering weekly info sessions, drop-in advising hours, as well as program and departmental information sessions. For example, studying abroad is for engineering majors. Please be sure to check out eDigest for announcements regarding the timing of these events. As I mentioned, there are a lot of people at Smith who students can talk to for advice regarding their study abroad plans. It's important that if students are considering studying abroad, they need to start having these conversations early on. So even first-year students need to be talking with their liberal arts advisors about their desire to study abroad. The reason for this? Remember I talked about planning? In some instances, students will be expected to meet certain language or regional prerequisites in order to be approved to study abroad. By talking to advisors and peers, students will be able to map out their 8 semesters at Smith and have a good idea of if, how, and where study abroad can fit into that map. If students are considering studying abroad during the 2022-2023 academic year, it's very important to be aware of and remember the study abroad approval deadlines. They're only once a year, and they're generally in early to mid-February of the year before you plan to study abroad. Students aren't required to study abroad for a semester or a year. There are exciting summer and interterm options as well. Students are encouraged to explore the summer and interterm opportunity section of the Study Abroad website. I can't emphasize enough that exploring the Study Abroad website is a very good source of information. In addition to information about programs, deadlines, etc., there is a section called Planning for a Positive Experience Abroad, and I encourage all students to peruse this information in this section as they contemplate their study abroad option. Please be sure to reach out to us with any questions. We love talking to students and making sure they have all the information they need in order to prepare for the study abroad experience.